what I do is the pillow covers, no, they come in different sizes. Though, so I try to adjust them into a the bed size thing. So all the clothes stitched together and sorry, and then it becomes a bed size bed sheet, you can see, but it becomes thicker than a bed sheet.
Uh,
What I do is, oh, the phone call again. Sorry about that.
okay,
ମନା ସେ
I didn't get it.
ଟିକେ ସମୟ ଶୋଇଛି, ସୋ ମତେ ସେ କହିଲା ଏବେ ତୁ ଯା, ମତେ କିଛି ସମୟ ଛାଡିଦେ, ତାପରେ ମୁଁ କଥା ହେବି। ତୁ ବି ତାକୁ ଫୋନ କରନା। ମୁଁ ତାର ଫୋନ କାଟୁନି। ଆରେ ମୁଁ ଯାଇଥିଲି ଦେଖିବାକୁ ନା, ତମେ ଏମିତି ହେଲେ କେମିତି ହବ? ଦେଖୁନ। ହଁ। So both my daughters had a hyper session about something, 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 and so they are calling. One is calling from Sweden, another is in her room. So yeah. So
If,
when it becomes thicker, thicker than a bed sheet, I stitch them together to make it a little quilt.
okay.
So it uh, becomes less thick than a quilt, but thicker than a bedsheet. And what it is used for? It is used to either you can spread over your bed bed. What do you say? Uh, those
Oh, your picture, your
ah. So you can spread on your bed,
your pic.
or uh, you now you can hear me. You can hear me now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So either you spread on the
Yes,
bed, or during summer you can cover yourself, because that time you don't need thicker bed sheet or blanket or anything. So it serves like that. So it is a tradition of Eastern India where the temperature is normally on the higher side always, because of the humidity and moisture, high moisture level, or because of the uh, not, it is not so very cold during winter also. So but in winter you get a little bit of chill that can be handled by this quilt. So that is what I use it for. So yeah.
sounds good. Do you have a sewing machine or you do it all by hand?
All by hand. I had a sewing machine, but I don't get much time. But I have that passion, to restitch, repurpose. So I do it by hand. Sometimes it takes the whole day. It took me for stitching the sides of that bedsheet. Mm.
I like to too. Sewing is not relaxing to me. So a long time ago, I gave my machine away when I got in high school. But
Okay.
I like to hand stitch, um, repair stuff because it's relaxing. If I do it by hand, it's relaxing. If I try to do it by a machine, it's not.
Yes, yes, yes. That also is the reason why and also because it becomes thicker, then the machine cannot sew it. Yeah. So that was one of the reason I just gave that machine away to another person in my office who actually was doing this. So during Saturday, Sunday, he will do some work and earn some money. That is why I gave him that.
Cool. Um, are these cotton sheets that are made in it, or are they from another country?
The sheets.
The things sew together for your bed, are they cotton from India?
Yes, yes, those are used bed sheets only and used clothes only. So what I use is the old pillow covers and the old bed sheets. Those are normally, those cannot be used anymore normally for bed sheet purpose or for your pillow. So I just stitch them together and make into a thicker thing. And in between, I hide that because you make it several times. You make fold for two, at least two times. So the torn things that gets hidden inside. You
Okay.
can just stitch the sides. You cover them inside, fold them on the torn side, and you just do some embroidery on that. You can. What I do is I also have some old clothes, no small
Mm.
pieces. I sometimes cut my sleeves and those pieces are there. Sometimes my dress is a bit longer than uh, the lower part. That also I cut. Uh, so those pieces I keep, and those pieces you can arrange in some design. No over that if you want. So that also I used to do, and to also cover those torn parts. Suppose it is too much of turn and it cannot. These are the clothes only you can throw away. You cannot give it uh, somebody somebody to use. It cannot be used. So um, instead of throwing away, I just stitch them together to use for further
Again,
use at the house, because these are not if it is very fancy, kind of still looks fancy when you do it, then you can use it use to cover yourself, or if it doesn't, it goes no, below your bed. That's that.
uh, quilting, um, quilting here in the U.S. down south around here, it's very popular, and in the Amish communities, people make beautiful quilts. Um, that take a long time and have a long history to them. And you can go to a quilt show. They have a lot of quilt shows now and then. One of my friends here, Fawn, that's from my hometown, that I was telling you is president of the planning commission, wrote a book on quilting, a big thick book that's in the library. So I've never seen her quilting work. I've seen some of her painting, but quilting is a big deal here in a. And also, I meant to ask you, we years ago, Goodwill Industries was a place where people who had addictions or who were in recovery of some kind, that company, I think, was started to give them employment and get them back into the workforce. And they were called thrift stores, and they had everything used, mostly used, and you could go there and stuff was really cheap and you could buy anything. So fast forward 30 years, thrifting has become a national pastime. So everybody here, every little town has at least one thrift store, and generally more than one. And sometimes they're run by churches, and the churches pass the stuff out. Sometimes they send it overseas or they send it to another community. But do you have thrift stores in India, or it doesn't sound like it? Otherwise, you would you would you
No,
would know about stuff
no,
away.
they uh, don't have any. We don't have any thrift store. But if you mean the used materials that can be given away to somebody, then there are some organizations who collect them and to give it away during some natural calamities when it happens. And also from time to time, some people run this charity kind of thing. And nowadays, what people are doing is they are offering food in the slums. And along with that, they also give some clothes. Uh, but still, those clothes have to be usable. Otherwise, that person who is getting it will not be able to use, right? So,
You're not supposed to give something that's all beat up. What a lot of the bigger companies do is they turn the clothes that they decide are not good enough to put on the rack, they
yeah,
turn them into, and then they sell the rags. They sell those rags to other companies, like companies that need rags, like a car repair place that uses a lot of rags.
yeah,
So now you can buy furniture and dishes and china and picture frames. You can buy anything, furniture, big furniture, even depends on the shop. Used to, it started mostly with clothes, but now have all kinds of stuff. And it's fun
yeah,
going. You get a find, like you get a fancy schmancy purse, or if you know labels at all, and you get something that's not worn out, and it's an expensive item when you buy it new. That always makes you feel like you had a good, that you found a special thing.
yeah,
But yeah, so thrifting is a big deal here.
yeah, yeah, it should
For
be.
not to go to a thrift store, and and some people poo poo it, uh and don't like getting somebody else's used things, but it doesn't bother me. I've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, yes, yes.
And you said when there's a disaster, those places a lot of times contribute clothes. um we have a little small shed that's a couple feet wide, um, and it's like a food pantry. And the Girl Scouts are supposed to take care of it. And people know it's there. It's here in the middle of town, and you can put food in something that's not going to perish.
Hmm.
You can put there, and sometimes people put clothes in there, but they're not supposed to. It's just for food. So yeah, I was speaking of food. I eat oatmeal with fruit in it for breakfast. What do you have for breakfast?
Breakfast, we have this bread. Bread means the bread, chapati, roti and chapati. Yeah. So that is one of the, there are a lot many breakfast items when it comes to breakfast in India. So every region has their own specialty. So we have this roti uh, for breakfast. I have sprouts. I nowadays I eat lot of sprouts in the breakfast. Idli and dosa, samosa, uh, those are some South Indian dishes. Then this one thing, chaffed rice, so that is called poha, and that also gets cooked along with vegetables. They call it poha. In the eastern side of India, actually they eat it raw with milk, curd, and banana. Sometimes, sometimes some coconut gratings and good, if you know jaggery.
Yeah.
So the same thing, but it is cooked or mixed with different things and eaten. And
Are you
most famous, yeah.
are you considered is Delhi considered uh, South India? Are you considered living in South India? I don't know the map very well.
Yeah, yeah. South is about no. Right now Delhi is north. The capital city is north, but I come from Orissa, which is a eastern state. Um, so if you hear about West Bengal, Assam, Orissa, all this, and the northeastern states. These are states like towards the east. Northeastern are seven states again. They are kind of separated from, not separated. Those are before Bangladesh was separated from India. It was the whole bunch. That was an region altogether, which was Indian. But after Bangladesh, this region is separated from India largely, and this entire thing is one area. So in the central thing has become another country, which means the top small thing and towards the east. It has become like that. So those people also have a different kind of culture. They have those are tribals coming from Vietnam and all those places. So their language also is a bit different, and their culture is tribal. They think in terms of how a tribal thinks. A tribal essentially thinks like uh, they are a close knit group belonging to a certain area. So still they have that kind of thought process, which means they are not very exposed to outside of wherever they are living, and that makes them a bit of no out of place when they come to mainstream India. That also makes them separated that way, culture wise, and
They want they want to stay separate.
no, they don't want, but they feel separated. That is why there are a lot of problems going on in the northeastern states because of their placement. Because of Bangladesh, they are kind of removed from India's mainstream. This is India. This was the area which has become Bangladesh. And out of the small territory, small strip of island, strip of place, which has become Northeast, and this is India, this is Bangladesh, and this is a little state, strip of state like this. If you watch, if you see a map, you can understand that has become different than from the mainland. Yeah.
Did Bangladesh from the rest of India? When did that happen?
Bangladesh happened. So what happened during division? India and Pakistan partition, know, right? India and
Yes.
Pakistan. Uh, So when that happened, Pakistan actually, the people who took Pakistan from India, they proposed that there should be an Eastern Pakistan, Eastern, and one Western Pakistan. So Western Pakistan has become the real Pakistan, and the Eastern Pakistan later on, 20 years after, it became Bangladesh. So
Oh, okay.
India in between, Pakistan a segment this side, a segment this side. So that time, this four-engine aircraft was not there. So if somebody wants to travel, not travel within Indian airspace, they have to take all the way to Sri Lanka, and from there again they have to come to Bangladesh. So it was a tedious affair, which is why they couldn't manage Bangladesh. So Bangladesh became independent in 1971. Partition happened in 1947. So when it becomes separate, then actually it was separated from 1948 only because it was Pakistan earlier. Now it has
Mm.
become Bangladesh. So that stretch became separated from India for quite a long time now, since 48. And because of their culture, they were very docile people, very simple people. But when there is distance, and it is not very easy to reach, because that is Himalayan, last stretch of Himalaya, you can say. So very mountainous, and not very easy to reach. So that has become very strategic.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so the northern part is called Arunachal Pradesh, which is being attacked by China, and they have also put their station also just just the other side of border. Sometimes they encroach into India also, and yeah, uh, so that kind of mischief is going on China's side. And Pakistan, being Pakistan, because they are economically a little weaker, so they had to depend on somebody. So for most part of their political existence, it was US which supported them, because Pakistan, India was close to Russia. And during Cold War time, if you know, then US and Russia were two forces, and there was a third world country. So India belonged to the third world place, and because they were very close to Russia, so America had to depend on Pakistan to balance the entire thing. So first it was US, which Pakistan gave space to, and then right now there is India has become friendly to US also, so they now have given their space to China. So what China has done is the first thing they do is to build roads so that so that anytime an emergency happens, they can easily come. So
Mm.
it is Pakistan's space, so India cannot say anything about that encroachment and the uh, construction of roads and other things. So they are very close to Indian border. So that is how politics, politics is this.
Interesting. Uh,
And yeah,
I was unsure. I mean, everybody has heard of Pakistan, but I was always unsure whether or if it was separate. I was never I was never sure of that.
which one? Bangladesh, right? Sorry,
Interesting.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. So lot of trauma when it comes to this partisan, because it is this Muslims were never no were never outcasts so far as Indians were concerned. But when the Britishers came, they actually intentionally made it a point that there is some rift between Hindus and Muslims, uh,
Oh,
and so they made it a point, and also they killed the cottage industry. India used to be the number one economy before the Britishers came. It took them just 200 years to destroy everything, and India became the poorest. Why? Because they destroyed the education system, they destroyed the cottage industry because of the industrial revolution that happened, and the mainstay was this textile industry, and that was the mainstay of India and also China. So now India is now slowly emerging uh, as the strong economy, but the uh, culture here is not about becoming a superpower so as to scare somebody. So when it becomes to power balancing, India um, kind of becomes a soft target, unless if you read about the 1964 war, between India and China. Before that, China and India were supposed to be close, So the first prime minister visited China several times, and there was like India and China were brothers. That slogan was there and everything, but suddenly China attacked. So our army was not prepared. For every 10 Indians, there was just one Chinese soldier, and they conquered whatever they came to India. And that part also is with them, whatever area they came in that time. In that time also Pakistan attacked, and um, India could have thrashed them, but they went to the UN, United Nations, and according to the rules, they issued one directive saying that whoever is whatever place, they have to be there. No more further progress, which means Pakistan had come in and they had occupied, and that territory still remains under their occupation. Although it is uh, a territory in rift or conflict, you can see. So there are two aspects of India, which is one portion is with Pakistan, another portion is with China, and but those are very strategic points which are with them, and so and Pakistan was never a democracy. It is mainly ruled by the army, which means whatever the army says, main resources go to the army. And the army always, their existence is in stake if they go for peace and everything. So they make it a point to keep the conflict alive. So
Mhm.
that thing is going on. So both sides. So when it comes to diplomacy and uses, uh, spying each other, both the sides have to be equally equipped. Otherwise, you cannot just be plainly trusting the other person. That is what Nehru, the first prime minister, did with China. He trusted China too much, and he was shocked. He actually got heart attack, and he died within 6 months because of this shock.
I
But
re-
sorry,
I re-
I'm losing you in between. Sorry.
and I remember Nehru. I remember when he was.
Okay. So um, uh, now, if you see the politics right now, it, of course, it has not come in a way, but uh, when we analyze something, you cannot just accuse somebody of being this. But this, just like Britishers came to India, before that, India used to be a superpower, super rich. But how come they succumbed to the British? It was because the systems were such, something in the system was not right, which is why many people actually gave some clue to the Britishers at very, very significant times, which is why they could consolidate their position and India could never recover. And before that, India was not India. It was Nehru, it was Mahatma Gandhi rather, who coined the word Bharat. Before that, it was a whole lot of kingdoms. And the kingdoms were in conflict with each other all the time. There was no unity. There was a great culture, and under this Mughals, uh, it was there was lot of unity. But again, that is where the Britishers actually ceded that the Muslims are very different. So if
Mm.
you see the first riot, mutiny against the Britishers, there were both Muslims and Hindus together fighting. And the Badshah, the emperor that time was the Muslim, the Mughal emperor only, under whom everybody was fighting. So there was no rift, although the religion was different. We never experienced in Orissa, for example, my entire career, I never experienced anything different with the Muslims. But in the north, when I came to the north, I can see there is a significant difference in the thought process also. So over a period of time, it happens, those things happen. uh, those Britishers happened because of those things. And in the system, there were something not going right, which is why the present government is, which is working in the favor of Hinduism.
What do you think wasn't going right in India that the Britishers came in so easily? What do you think was missing, or what was wrong?
No, during Britishers' time, it was like, say, intentionally destroying Indian economy, the education system, and whatever India was proud for, those were all systematically, intentionally destroyed during Britishers' time. There were this drought, and Churchill never allowed the grains to be here. Millions of people died because of those policies. So it is like that. It is like that. And so that is why India wanted to be independent of them. So once independent, they have seeded this rift amongst ourselves so that we cannot be at peace with each other. That is why India Pakistan happened, India Bangladesh, then Bangladesh happened. So many countries happened, and we are only fighting amongst each other for something not together. We would have considered something else. Our energy could have been together, you know. So anyway, so the outgoing ruler would like this nation to stay there because they were ousted from India. Yeah.
Uh, uh, it's 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 pretty complicated, and it's complex, and you do at the same time uh, you want your independence, and you want all those reasons that India has been um, famous, for textiles and all of those things. I always think of India as having beautiful textiles. I always think of that. In China too, I think of um, the your saris and just the beautiful wall hangings and all of that kind of stuff. Um,
Now
but
it
we
has been now it has been revived. Many of the textiles, those were revived, but it is not in as it was in the earlier times,
right,
Yeah. Earlier times it was like, say, people were surviving just with that skills, So nowadays, in a different way, those textiles have revived themselves with different names, and of course, because of technology, many things also have improved, or say took a different kind of shape. But those are again have become um, okay. Means they are thriving also. Yes. Um, But thinking that those textiles will make India rich as it was before, it is not like that. Uh, those tradings were happening in the earlier times. Indians, this thing. Anyways, everything has a time, and now technology has evolved so much. and it is already evolving in so many different ways. And also the political system, if you see, we are now people who who actually experience this trauma of this partition. If you talk to them, you can see uh, what kind of trauma they had 3 generations back, because it has lingered on them. And you cannot actually suppress all those things. It is there, it is there. But what I am observing now is the new generation, because they don't have to read history so much, and they don't have to experience the trauma inside their house so much. They have grown independent of their history. They are not bothered about that history anymore. They are not affected anyways, because
Mhm.
of many reasons. So they don't know what was Pakistan, what was India, why all this thing. So they are looking for just one thing, um, to be rich, which
Mm.
means also that it has to be a system which they are working for. They don't bother about any patriotism, kind of things, nation and their nation, and how they were deprived, all those things uh, do not matter to them any. Yeah.
Uh, Here, China and Russia, those those two nations hover over the U.S. all the time. Their sense of whatever they hover because everybody wants to be a superpower, right? Well, I mean, we consider ourselves a superpower.
Yeah.
I I would I'm grateful that my country has gotten protected as much as it has. I'm grateful that we haven't had any major wars on our other than our own internal war on our own, land. At the same time, when if you look at it politically, those guys hover over us like that, and we're all in this mix together. If you look at it economically, it's different because there are so many companies here that are in partnership with China, that and they're spread throughout the country. So it's complicated because on one hand, we're watching China with eyes like, what are you going to do next? How do we protect ourselves? On the other hand, on the other side, the guys at the top, the guys and women at the top who are making lots of money economically, are in business with those guys. And I don't even want to know all the details, because it would it would blow your mind if we really knew. I think, this is just my opinion, if we really knew the details of how ingrained we all are together. Russia too. You know, we make it sound like it's them and us, but we're more globally interactive than probably anybody even realizes. If China pulled out, if China pulled out of the US today, we would be scrambling. We'd be scrambling because everything is so economically connected. Just like Toyota, I mean, Toyota um, is a Japanese country, but I guess I shouldn't use that as an example. But who knows? Maybe there's a portion of it owned by China and we don't even know that. Um, but yeah, it's difficult to separate. At least here, it's difficult to separate everything. I get a chuckle out of people saying, "My car, I'm buying American. My car is made here." And if you work in the car industry like I have, you know there's no car just made in one place. None of them. None of them.
Yes.
We have lots full of vehicles that we're still waiting, that are still sitting there because we're waiting on a little chip from China.
Hmm.
Probably already heard because that gets spread everywhere. And I don't even know if that's true. I mean, for that matter, that could not be true. In the long run, it could just have been propaganda that somebody here started to make us, to make it look a certain way. I just remember, I will never forget this. When I worked at Ford, every now and then the CEO of that particular plant would have everybody gathered together in different shifts, and they would give us a pep talk about what's coming for the next year or the next model season or whatever. And the plant manager, one time I remember, the talk was over, he was done. He had talked about China and how we were working together. And then under his breath, as he was about to walk off the stage, he said, "Let's beat those Chinese." And
Mhm.
I thought, what did he shifted everything he just said, and said the truth, because everybody here wants, not everybody, but we need to be continued to be number one. I mean, this didn't get developed as a capitalist nation by accident. It's just, it gets, there's nothing wrong with capitalism, I don't think, unless it gets out of hand and then people get greedy, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and have gotten greedy in many cases. So it's interesting. It's a whole interesting ball of wax to talk about. And I think it's a good thing to talk about, if you can talk about it without getting upset about it, and try to recognize that there's all kinds of perspectives on it, but sometimes that's hard to do depending on who you're talking about.
Mm.
If
Mhm.
I had huge investments in manufacturing or in AI or in agriculture or in steel, I'd be talking a different talk.
Mm.
I'm, I'm just a little person in the wheel, that's just an average person. If I was at the top with millions and billions of dollars on the line, I'd be, I'd be talking differently. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. It's interesting, that's for sure.
Mm. So Chinese chips and the machine parts, which are very essential to any equipment, including cars, rockets, anything, are essential. They are there because uh, that is the easiest way to spread their business into other countries. So they are very clever about that. They are also very good with technologies, uh, mm, and very cheap also. So they have device. So we um, uh, people at other places, they don't think that they have to compete with China, because it will be
Yeah,
waste of time. And so if they can get it from China, then most of their work is done. So, uh, so when it comes to diplomacy again, because nobody can just wish the other country away just because like that, because the economically, trade wise, technology wise, everybody is into the other. So when these conflicts happen, uh, sometimes we hear that we should not use anything Chinese, but no, there is nothing that is without any Chinese thing. Everything that we use is something or other of Chinese origin or Chinese material. We import that. So. The same with US, same with more or less everybody is importing Chinese technology because it is very cheap and very sustainable also. Or you can use and throw. Although many other technologies are being developed at other places. But
Do
uh,
you have things in your home that are made in the US?
US, I don't know. But we certainly have the laptop that I am using, the mobile that I am using. All these have Chinese, some chip or something. Yes.
Yeah. Interesting. I was just trying to think of what I have in the house. If I have anything in the house that was made in India, this is the thing. This is what I know on the outside. It's probably something decorative, um, pillow or uh, um, a statue or something like that. There might be things from India in my phone. I don't know that. Um, I bought this was a surprise. I bought a little jar of collagen cream. I wasn't planning to buy it, but I was at Dollar General. You guys have Dollar General stores there and Family Dollar.